We marry our spiritual belief and our health, specifically our mental health. There's a lot that we do within the spiritual setting, within the church, the mosque, that is even some form of psychotherapy. Even though we don't know what we are doing, has some benefits when it comes to psychotherapeutic interventions. For instance, you being able to say, I believe in this, or I reject this, that we say they are confessions, positive confessions. There is a kind of psychotherapeutic intervention that has even been tested in Nigeria. It's a word for, I think, from the southern part, meseron, something that has to do with you rejecting something negative that is coming to you. For instance, you have negative thoughts, and you fight those thoughts by stopping them and saying, no, I reject them. Even though what we do most of the time has to do with confessing the scriptures. As a Christian, we quote scriptures and tell ourselves, affirm what the word of God says. By the time we say that, it reduces our level of anxiety about the circumstances. And of course, we feel some respite from whatever challenges that we have. But the problem is, are we all quoting the same scriptures for the same illness? If someone is hearing voices, how much more spiritual experience will reduce the voices without medication? I had a patient recently, an elderly woman, who was brought to my clinic from a spiritual house. She had been there for months. Two of her daughters are medical doctors. One of them is a resident. In fact, the two of them are residents in training. What it means is they are already training to become specialists. And their mother had been in a spiritual house for a long time because she believed the situation she had was spiritual. When he told me what she was experiencing and she explained to me what she had been experiencing, I came to a conclusion that this person had a neurological problem which has not been treated, which has not been diagnosed, and of course that had made her to also have a mental illness on top of it. So what I did was I gave her medication, and I told her that you will need to see a neurologist who's going to do a proper examination and will also determine what will be the treatment for the other problem that you have. Of course, they went back from my clinic to the spiritual house, but she continued her medication. And eventually, she saw a lot of improvement. And of course, she still continued with the prayers. And I always tell them that at times when you have the opportunity to see someone like me, it's possible that your prayer has just started being answered.
Thank you for that. I think, Dr. Ola, that's one of the most balanced answers and responses that any human being on this side of the earth can give. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that response. Just to add to that, this one is, how do I handle, it's tied to the same one, how do I handle parents that are in denial, who choose to believe there is nothing wrong with their kids, even when the child exhibits behaviors that are worrisome? This is about denial in parents, basically.
Okay, let me just speak from my personal experience. So in our community, we have lots of young people that cope with mental illnesses, and we had this particular lady that was diagnosed with bipolar depression, and the parents, they were pastors, so they never really accepted the fact that they never really accepted her diagnosis. So now we experienced, when we talked to her, she kept on talking about wanting to kill herself. It's a common thing. I mean, we dealt with that case over and over again, and we referred her to specialists. And every time she wanted to go, the mother would say there's no need to go. Then she started to cut herself. Then she started to write things like, I hate myself, on her arms and on her thighs. And she sends the pictures to us. So it was very, very troublesome to see. And so I decided on my own I was going to take her to the psychiatrist by myself. So having partnership with ARD Yaba, that's Australian resident doctors in Yaba, I took her out. I took her and her friend to the hospital. But before then, she said she can't just go to the hospital, so she needed to find a place to relax and actually be calm. So we went to the movies first. So from the movies, we fixed the appointment for 4 p.m. and we went to see the doctor after. When we went to see the doctor asked her questions and said, do you know that you have a mental illness. She said she knows that she does, but her parents don't want to accept that she has a mental illness. So what the doctor did was that, according to her complaint that she wanted to kill herself, which was an emergency in a suicidal setting, in a psychiatric setting, the doctor said, I'm not going to allow you to go home because you are in danger of hurting yourself. So I'm going to invite your mother here. So he called the mother and said, your child wants to kill herself. Can you come to the hospital? And she said, okay, she's going to come in the next 1 hour. He said, can you come to the hospital now? And the woman came down to the hospital. And when the doctor showed her the scars from the self-harm, she started crying. Now, we thought she was crying because she didn't know the child was hurting herself. No, she was crying, and the words she was saying was, what will people say? I was devastated. I mean, I had to leave the consulting room because I was angry. I mean, she was rolling on the floor, and that was what she was saying. What will people say? So the doctor was calm enough to make her relax and say, you know what, she's going to be on admission for a while, and you can always come and make your own decision on what you want for treatment. You can decide nobody comes to see her. Nobody else comes to see her. You can decide that that's what you want. But she needs a community of people, and you're going to allow these guys that brought her here to come and see her from time to time. So with time, we've been able to manage her case and get her to the hospital. And once in a while, she's part of our group. She's one of our advocates, and she tells her stories freely, and she encourages others to seek care. And that's very important.
Thank you for that. I think we'll take one or two, but what we're going to do now is move more towards the direction of solutions with our questions, and this mostly has to do with the panelists. We have the President, Center for Health Sciences Training, Research and Development, Dr. Lola Dari, who's here with us. She'll be giving us a wrap-up of everything we've discussed, and closing remarks by Dr. Olufemi Ogunsoya, who's the Chairperson, Board of Trustees, Association of Private Educators in Nigeria. What we're going to do is just run through the program. So when we break out, we'll have the lunch. You can meet with the panelists and also get to see some of the stands set up to address any issues you might have. Because I have a feeling that once we leave this hall, that's it. So we want to just take everything through so that we have a good end to this program. Let's take your question.
All right then, thank you. So we're going into the treatment. Okay, before I do that, let me just share a story of something that happened in school. It was like a minor issue, but okay, this girl came into the clinic complaining of the frame of her glasses that got broken. And she looked a bit troubled. I said, okay, the frame is broken, we'll fix it for you. But she came to my office and said, no, doctor, it's not that straightforward. You'd have to talk to my mother. I picked up the phone, I called the mother. Like, ma, this happened to your daughter's glasses. We'll have to change the frames and fix the glasses. And the mother said, yes, you want to change the frames, but I'd rather do that when I have the child at home with me over the holidays. And I told the mother, okay, we still have some days left, some weeks actually left to go in the term. This girl needs her glasses. She needs to see what's being taught in class. She needs to write exams, and she needs to do well. And the mother said, I don't know the kind of glasses you want to get her. People are going to see her outside, and they're going to look at those glasses. And okay, and I said, ma, I think the most important thing at this point is for us to get your daughter seeing well enough to participate fully in class, write and pass her exams for this term, and then come back home to you. So that just leads me into this next step that we're going into now. Okay, when we could talk about management, I know that we have said that the courses are multifactorial, and I presume that the management too will fall into, yes, the same pattern. So let's talk about the treatment modalities available now. When you talk about managing mentally ill persons, especially children, teenagers, what are the options available, and how do you even start? If you're just noticing some of these signs in your child or in your ward, if you're a teacher in school, how do you start? Who do you talk to? How do you go about this? Okay, so I think Mrs. Coker, let's start with you, please.
Once you notice that your child has, the challenge is some of the traits of a teenager are very similar to the manifestations of a mental health issue. because, at that age, they are trying to find themselves. They have periods where they are happy and periods when they are sad. They have periods when they change their eating habits. But you need to know your child so that you can recognize when it's getting to the extreme and help needs to be got. To get help, first step, if the child is at home, get a psychologist, get a coach, get a psychiatrist if you think medication is required. If, on the other hand, the child is in boarding school, the teachers and the caregivers and the matrons and the housemasters, they know what to look for, or they should. The schools must also make sure that these caregivers are trained on a consistent basis so that they are up to date and up to speed with refreshers going on a regular basis to let them remember what to look out for. Because we did a course 3 months ago, 3 years ago on mental awareness, doesn't mean that these people remember that. There's so many pressures in our society that people tend to may forget, because that's not their priority at that point in time. Is about making sure that you get the grades that keeps your school in a certain level. No, please take time out to it should almost be mandatory that on a regular basis this awareness is done for all the levels. And for some of the examples we had about parents, sorry to digress a little bit, of the woman that said what will people think, and the woman that was worried about this designer frames she wants for her child. Some of these are a manifestation of a mental illness. Because if somebody is rolling, you see, we look at it and we wonder, do you think it is, what is normal behavior? Normal behavior is the word norm comes from that curve, the bell curve we use in maths, that says the norm. Is it the average person? Is that person in the bell curve of negative behavior? If that person has left the bell curve, that person has such a concern about what people think that they probably has self-esteem issues, probably has other issues going on, so you need to find out, as we're helping the child, please let's also remember we need to help the parent, because if you help the child, they have to go back to that parent. So maybe that parent needs help too, and she can get a coach.
The truth about management of a child, because when we have children, right, if we want to call their doctors, we say the pediatricians. Then as they grow to the teen age before they become independent, when they become independent, we will say they have the family physician. So there's that gap we have in the system somehow. The teenagers were like, okay, I would like to take you to your doctor, but you are now bigger than seeing a pediatrician. And then so should I take you to my own doctor? The truth is, what has changed? That's the first thing we have to look at for. What has changed in my child that is unusual, that has been increasing in duration, that the frequency has increased, that I need to seek for help? You must break that barrier first within yourself. Remove that denial. Leave that shock stage before you can access help. If you have to be pushed that your child has to seek help, you aren't doing that child any justice. It's just like the primary healthcare system we are trying to put in place in Nigeria now. Most mental illnesses come to the tertiary institution. Yaba is 110 years old. People will leave Benin, Enugu, Asaba because of stigma and come to Yaba all the way, or leave their remote areas and come to Yaba. Meanwhile, there's a primary healthcare center maybe at Etiosa. How equipped is that place that when that person is treated in Yaba, they don't need to go back there for follow-up or for medication. They can go to their primary healthcare center where they can get help. That is how the family is in assisting any child that has a mental illness. If the family is not properly equipped with that healthy support system that you give your child, no matter what you do outside, no matter the multifactorial therapies or medication with the different colors, it's not going to change anything, because that child is in a hostile environment, in a toxic relationship that is not enhancing the mental well-being of that child. So we must start from the home. I keep going back to the home. That is our first point of call. School has its own point. Not all schools have counselors as we are sitting down here. Not all schools have counselors that are still so equipped that they can give. In Nigeria, it's doctors that can prescribe. If you are doing otherwise, doing the role of a doctor, if you are caught, you know where they will take you to. So the truth is that not all schools have counselors, and not all schools have that counselors that can prescribe. So schools, they also have their own. Like what she said, 3 years training, no. We are now having organizations that are willing to come to school, train teachers, talk to parents. Please explore those opportunities. If you are the PTA person, get that person to come to your organization, talk to the teachers. Curriculums have been developed in and out. There is a book on where there is no psychiatrist. I can see some of my colleagues here and they know that there's that book that exists. Where there's no psychiatrist, there are ways, there are now curriculums that are now being developed. There's mental health first aid. In my organization, we started as a treatment center, but we drew back to preventive. And that's the stage where we are now, because we found out that the stigma is still very high and people are not going to come and get treatment. Why don't we go back and do preventive measures, tell you what is the risk, tell you how to take care of yourself. That way you don't have to break down for you to receive treatment. So please exploit these organizations that can help your school. Technology has come to stay. We have been able to leverage on technology now. You don't have to get up from where you are. Log in, call, Skype, it can be done. So we can pick these symptoms as is happening now. In Nigeria, they will say, as it is hot. As it's happening now, let's pick these symptoms so that we can have a healthy society, a healthy future leader for a sane society.
Thank you for that, Mara.
Thank you. Maybe, Oscar, can I just cut in to back up something that Dr. Kadiri said there, particularly to those of you who are involved with PTAs. Obviously, we have regular PTA meetings at Olashore International School. I speak regularly. I think people love to hear me. Which may not be true, but I know for a fact at our last PTA meeting, fortunately we have a parent who is a child psychiatrist and psychologist. She came and she spoke at our PTA to the parents. It is the most well-received talk that has ever been given at any PTA that I have ever been to in 25 years of teaching. So I thoroughly recommend PTA invite a child psychiatrist, a psychologist to come and speak to the parents, to the whole school, so that you can really get involved and that people know about this.
Okay. Okay, you want to have one? All right.
I just want to contribute
Sorry,
to what...
Quick.
Okay.
Okay.
A question was mentioned the other time. If you have a child, an only child, if loneliness can affect the child. I don't think we have answered the question. So I've had an experience maybe 10 years ago. I have a student, now a graduate. So she used to feel so bad in school, and she will be looking up for a time holiday will come that the mother will send her to another house for holiday. Parents should be careful. So because this child doesn't have anybody to talk to, when she gets to that place, they will lock themselves up in a room and they will be doing all sorts of things because she was not exposed to anything. Parents, if you have an only child, make sure you are very close to the child. Then talking about this, how many of us here as parents talk about mental illness at home? Did you talk about it? Let's start from our own. If you observe anything, come together like in my house. In the morning, if you have anything to talk about, that is when we talk about it. When we are talking about suicide, some children don't know anything about it. But when they introduce it to them outside, maybe from their peers and others, they want to try it. So you have to talk to them and tell them the side effects of whatever they hear outside. And also, when you give your children to us in school, are you talking to them? There was a situation in my school when we were having open day. A parent came and was talking, counselor, you don't talk to my child very well. She's going down, she's doing this, she's doing that. I just asked a question, ma, please, when did you talk to your child last? The woman just sat down and she felt like crying. He said, my sister, that was the trouble. We don't talk to this child since the beginning of the term when we brought her to school. And I observed from that child, she likes doing her own things in her own way. Parents, let us, when you take your child to school, talk to them. We have time when we talk to students in school. Find out the time and talk to them always. They will be open up more to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Judging by the expression on everyone's face, if you feel that this has impacted you, just signify with a round of applause. And for some reason, the hall is meant to be getting emptier and emptier, but it's getting fuller and fuller, which is a good thing. What we're going to do now is open up the floor. For those of you who sent in your questions, a couple of them might not be able to be raised here, but you can address them at the breakout session. But I want to go straight to the schools that are here with us. So please, if you're in another school attending this event now and you have a question, I'll start with you. So just raise up your hand if you have a question that has not really been addressed, or you want to share a story in your school to buttress some of the things that we've said here, so that we can give other schools present an opportunity to ask the question. So just signify, and then we'll move on to parents, and hopefully if there's a student here, we'd love to hear from you as well. So any of the schools? Okay, let's have 1, 2. So let's take the 2 questions, ma'am. So let's get the microphone. Pass the microphone. Oh, okay. 1, 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is, let me take you, ma'am, then you, sir, and then you, ma'am. So let's start with the lady in the gray jacket. Please understand, we might not be able to treat every single question, but we just want to give an opportunity to get an idea of what's happening in other schools. Your name, your school, and your question, ma'am.
My name is Izwanne Etta. I'm head of secondary for the Childville at Ogudu. And I just want to share something that happened for 3 years in a row. My students have represented Nigeria in the Microsoft Office Special World Championship, and they have performed excellently. In other words, 3 years in a row, we've had students coming first in the national championship and going over to the US to represent us. So yesterday, some of my students, about 16 of them, qualified to the national championship. And so I was keeping tab with the head of ICT just to follow up with what is happening. And then he sent me a text and said, unfortunately, the students will not be able to make it to the World Championship this year, because though they've scored high, a lot of other schools, students from other schools have scored higher. And I said to her, I need my students to know that whether they are at the top or whether they are not, we celebrate them because we know that they are champions. So I said to her, I'm coming to school. Are you guys on your way back? She said yes. I said, I'm coming over to school just to wait for you guys to come back, because I need to hug every child that has gone there. And I'm sharing this because I think sometimes we are overemphasizing the fact that our students need to do well. We need to have all the A stars, we need to have, and we are unconsciously also adding to the pressure. So when I got to school, I got to school and I was waiting for them to come back. And when they came back yesterday, and I was hailing and hugging everyone and saying to them, well done, you know, I'm going to organize a private party because you guys have made us so proud. I think we need to find time and avenues to just affirm them, whether they are where we want them to be or they are on the way to where we want them to be. But I just feel that as caretakers of young children, whether as parents, school owners, teachers, we need to find time to consciously affirm them and let them know that they rock.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, ma'am. Okay, go on.
Good day, everyone. I'm Mrs. Oyediro from Babcock University School, Ogba, the school counselor. I just want to quickly share this experience and really look into it, whether you will agree with me, this child in particular is at the borderline of a mental illness or not. Just about a few weeks ago, a girl was caught with a young boy in an uncompleted building right in the school compound, and it was during the examination. And after they were caught, you can insinuate what will have happened, having a boy and a girl together. And of course, the case was investigated by me. And of course, what I don't really like in it was that the case was brought to the DC. And these two guys denied whatever happened in the night. At that particular time, lonely in that particular building. And of course, thereafter, the house mistress, brought a diary to me, and the diary read so many things. And the particular one that caught my attention was that the girl was threatening suicide. This is a quiet girl, quite okay. She can be charming sometimes. She will smile. When you ask her some questions, she will definitely give you the answer. Very slim and small in stature like that, you really think of, having a kind of relationship like that. But she told me she got fed up that night during prep. She walked down to the uncompleted building, and then because she wasn't happy about home, especially with the younger sibling at home, and the kind of tantrum that has been going in between the two of them, for the parent taking side of the younger one. And then she wrote some notes like, I know you don't really love me. After all, our parents always support you. I don't even know who I am in this family. And the last one is, I intend to commit suicide, and please don't ask about my whereabouts. Unfortunately, when this case was brought up, the parents were invited to the school. I was not around. And I intentionally kept the diary this girl wrote, so that when the parent came around, they can have a look at this diary. Because I know we can't just look at it like that and feel nothing is wrong. Or probably the girl is trying to make up a story to exempt her for what happened that night. Up till today, the parents have not seen the diary. And if anything happened next, what will you think is happening? And my question, do you think this girl is still mentally well?
Thank you for that. I know this will open up a can of worms, but what we're going to do is let me take you, Ma, and then take you. This is from the point of schools. We will be here all day if we address every issue. Every school is unique, but I think there's an underlining factor, which is the issue of, one, paying attention to the students from the teacher's point of view, reducing the pressure on the students, rewarding the students as well, and also the partnership between the teachers and the parents. So let's just take you, Ma, and then take your question, sir.
Good day, everyone. My name is Igwe Makulata. I'm a teacher in Supreme Education Foundation Schools, Magodo. I work with children between the ages of 9 and 10, specifically year 7 students. Now, I want to ask a question. There was a case of suicide letter. I feel from what I heard today that I didn't handle that case well. A girl in year 7 wrote a suicide letter, and she said she wants to kill herself. She wrote it to me. Mrs. Igwe, I am really sorry that by tomorrow you won't see me, because by that time I would have killed myself. I'm sorry I am hurting you because I know you love me. Bye-bye. And she put it under my file on my table. I came from a class and I was going through, trying to do some other thing, and I saw it. I jumped up, ran to the head of middle school and told her. And then we quickly called the little girl, very quiet, unassuming, she doesn't talk, not struggling, in between. And we asked her, the matron, she's a boarder, the matron was invited. And the matron made us to know that all through the night she was with her, because she was talking about something similar. She feels unloved. What was the problem? That the person she trusted betrayed her. A fellow brother, a senior. What did she do? She walked into a senior's room, the senior's room, and they told her to walk out, and the girl could not stand up to defend her or speak for her. And so she wants to kill herself because of that. I was wondering, is that enough? And the aspect I am bringing up now is the matron was shocked that she could still go ahead with the suicide letter. But the question I have is, we talked to her with the school counselor and it ended there. The parents did not know about the letter. Was it right? Should we have gone beyond that? Thank you. Now, the second one is result-oriented parents. As a teacher, most parents do not want to know about the learning needs of their children, or what you as the teacher that is practically living with this child for the better part of the day, what you have discovered and how you want to help this child. What they want to know is, what did she score in English? What am I paying for, Mrs. Igwe? They don't want to know about all the ADHD you're talking about, the dyslexia, what is all that? Go to pass it, go, let her pass. That's what I'm paying for. But we as the teachers that are passionate about, sometimes, I'm sorry, I talk a lot. You discover that as a teacher, you are more passionate about the child in your class than your own biological child. Oh yeah, because we spend more time with those ones. Okay, you have discovered this, and this child you've seen all the symptoms that this child has ADHD problem. And you want to discuss it. But the fear is, what is ADHD? Why is he not passing the exam? Denial. And you as a teacher, you are afraid of who sent you, who asked you to talk, what's your business with that? And you are dying in silence and the child is dying. What do you do? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is it Mrs. Igwe?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think she deserves a round of applause for actually opening up and admitting to the fact that she could have handled it better. Because of what I do, I meet a lot of people. Most recently is an award, teachers award ceremony by a very prominent beverage company. They had their launch and a lot of issues were raised, and for some reason the society tends to undermine the role of teachers, and the fact that teachers are actually human beings as well. A number of them mentioned, of course, remuneration, how they're not being taken care of, etc, etc. So I don't know, maybe in the next edition of this there should be something dedicated to the teachers and equipping them. How do you handle suicide notes? What do you do? Who do you go to meet? Because the teachers after the parents are also a very important point of call. And I wanted to address what happened to the notes or the students and the suicide notes, man. So right now that child is literally still on the path to, we need to address that very quickly, please. Can you get the mic to her?
You cannot do that. You cannot keep the suicide note with you. A life is at risk. It is a psychological emergency. It is as urgent as if that child has broken a leg. You need to deal with it now. And it's not about waiting for the parents to read the diary. It's about calling in a psychologist or a psychiatrist as soon as you can. There are organizations that if you do not have a visiting psychologist in your school, there are organizations that send out counselors and trained psychologists and psychiatrists. If you need one, Constellation Coaching Group does that. We'll send one to you. We won't even charge you. There is a life at risk.
Yeah, I think
we're not going to be talking semantics.
The whole point of this is, I think we're just going to address it now. So, Ma, would like to see you after.
Before she leaves this forum, we're going to address it.
Yeah, we'll need to address it now, because there's no point in having this gathering and not saving that child. And we must save that child. Let's just take your question, sir, very quickly.
I just want to quickly add something to what she just said now. I think the greatest challenge we have is that most of us are afraid of assessments. And every school should have a policy that will dictate what you should do when you have a situation on your hands. If your school does not have that policy, then probably you might not have something to work with. I could remember I mentioned in the report that I wrote when we came to the school on the issue of policy on bullying. Every school should have a policy on if a child is bullied, what do you do for the child that is bullied, and what do you do for the bully? And with regards to mental, we should not see mental illness like different from malaria. Do you need to call a mother to fight for permission to treat a child for malaria? We should get to that level in which you understand that if a child has a mental illness, the way you go and meet a doctor and ask the child to be treated for malaria, you should also be able to get the child treated for a mental illness before you even ask the parents to give consent. But of course, we have not gotten to that level. That means that you will need to get consent. But once you have a policy and the parent into the partnership of your school and they understand the policy of the school, you can start off a treatment because you already have the policy on ground.
Thank you. Ma, so sorry, ma. Do you have contact of that child? You can call. Please, ma, just step out of the hall. No, hold on, please, ladies and gentlemen, please. Get a mic to her. Get the microphone to her, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please do understand she didn't have to say this. So the fact that she's come out with it, we need to support her, please.
Yes.
Yes, you were saying, ma'am.
Thank you very much. The contact of the parents is with me. They were yet to see me in the school. You know, let me just make it this way. When the parents came around, I and the chaplain of the school were supposed to see the parents for a meeting, and then the note will be shown to them. But unfortunately, when the parent came around, I wasn't in the office, and the chaplain was not called to the meeting again. Myself was not called to the meeting again, even though I was in the school conference.
What I'll do, Miles.
You know what I'm saying? Just like the last speaker has said now. There are some cases the organization or the school wants to sweep under the carpet. Don't say it out.
What I will do to you, ma, right now, if you don't mind, if your school stigmatizes you for the action you're about to take, there's a school head that will employ you. Please do not be afraid of that. I don't want to say Olashore, but what I want you to do, on a serious note, what I want you to do, ma, is right now, step out of this hall, call the parents, and tell them there's something urgent you need to talk to them for right now, please. Just do that for us, and then we'll follow up after that. Thank you very much for that. Sir, I'll take your question.
Please.
Dr. Dari, please be on standby. Yes, ma'am.
You see, in our constitution, we have some fundamental human rights. Right to life is very, very important. And if somebody is planning to take that life, a neighbor, who is your neighbor-in-law, is that person that will have the right to do that which is good. What you want for yourself, you want it for that person. As it is, whether the parents are aware or they are not aware, it's mandatory that that child's life is sacrosanct and nothing should happen to it. The law is clear about it. Please.
Thank you. Funny enough, we should mention there was a lady who actually just gave me a question and was asking, can someone help us to know the protective right of the child as a parent? So I think this borders on the question you're answering. We will address that issue, but I think for now, we need to save that child. If that's the only thing we achieve from this, we need to, someone is going to, okay. Let me take your question very quickly and then move on, because we have, Dr. Dari, please be on standby for your wrap up as well. Yes, go on.
All right, thank you. My name is Kwesi Kumson from Lagos Preparatory and Secondary School, a school born out of the Olashores. I think I've got so much to say, but I think we cannot answer all of them. And so I would like to plead, if there is room for us to get all the contact necessary that's available to you here, and also get of the panelists, if we can invite one or two to our schools to talk to both our parents and schools. Because I can't discuss them.
Thank you
very much.
To address your issue directly, we do have psychiatrists from Luth and other professionals who are on standby. So when we break out, you get to meet them and exchange contacts. But that's the whole essence of this initiative. So that as a teacher, I think the pressure is a lot on the teachers who are juggling being parents, teachers, and also parents to other people's kids. So even from a mental wellness point of view, even our teachers need to be assessed so that they don't melt down. So please, a round of applause to our teachers. If you're a teacher out there, please. In fact, if you're a teacher, please just stand up and let's clap for you, because you deserve some accolade. Thank you very much. Appreciate you so much. At this junction, ladies and gentlemen, I know we have an avalanche of questions. We would love to address and treat everyone, but the breakout session, we address that. Do we have anything from a student? If you're a student here, maybe you have a story to share, because we have the perspective of the parents, the teachers. We'd like to get the perspective of the students. I know there was a young man. Don't be afraid, it's okay. Wait, are you a student or a teacher? Because your age, it's difficult to tell. Yes, student, please get a microphone to him, please. Your name and go on.
So, yeah, good morning. It's afternoon, sorry. Good afternoon. So, I'm a student. So, I just wanted to say...
Sorry, what level are you in as a student?
Like year 10.
Year 10, okay.
Okay. Sorry. Teenagers are like birthday presents. You can look at the shape, you can measure the size, and you can shake it all you want, but in the end, you never truly understand what is it or what's inside. Applying with Miss Coker what she said, the point is true. Every single child that is born is a blank book, and parents write in it, which will eventually make the child. But we're not the only person writing in that book. Teenagers literally can adapt to any environment, and honestly speaking, the personality changes more than their clothes. But what helps us from preventing mental illness, suicide, and so on and so forth are bonds. The reason why I love my mom is she's never afraid to bring up a topic that is happening with me. She's like a detective, always digging for the truth, and also understanding who I am to a level that she can help in the time I really need her. Parents of this generation are not fully involved with their children's lives, because I've seen times where children indulge in things they're not supposed to, and every single time they say the same thing: my mom won't care, or my dad won't care. That bond you have with a child is like a rope, and it's tied to your child. So when your child is in too deep, or if she needs you for your help and so on and so forth, you have the tool and the strength to pull him back into reality. Thank you.
Hold on. Just keep standing. I'm sure you guys, it deserves much more than that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What's your name? What's your full name?
Solomon Amber.
Solomon Amber. Amber. Where's your mother? Is she here with us? Mommy, please, can you stand up? Just take a bow. Solomon, I have a question for you. Sorry to put you on the spot. Where's mommy? Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. And the Mother of the Year award goes to Solomon, please. Just let's have the mic. Yeah. Not that you're speaking on behalf of all students, but I think you're the closest we have to them. If you were to advise parents now, based on your experience with your mom, what do you think, or based on your experience talking to other students, do you know anybody who is like been depressed and you had to talk to them? Just share that experience with us and what the situation is. Do you need your phone for this?
No.
Okay.
To me, when a student of mine, or even just a close friend, is depressed, the one person you should usually go to is your parents. But then for that person, like I said before, the greatest thing you can have with your mom or your dad is a bond. That's why when you're raising a child or you're doing something with them, you have to start very early. Like, you should never be afraid to bring up a topic, no matter what the effect is. For example, every single time my mom is saying, like, it's kind of funny because when something like this happens, she's like, you know, dying is like this, hell is just right there, you know, if anything happens like that. And then every single time I'm laughing at that because she's not afraid to say it, and I understand her completely when she says it.
But do you have a friend who has shared something with you and you had to advise that friend?
Not particularly. I mean, at one point, someone's friend died.
Okay.
And then they were feeling sad about it. They felt like this person was such a lively person. They knew him so well. So why did he take his life, and so on and so forth. And so what I felt was that, you know, God has a plan. So obviously him taking his own life, maybe that wasn't part of the plan, and it may be just like the path he was walking on just veered. But then this event should not define who you are, because if you are going to remember this person, don't remember him about him taking his life. Instead, remember the good times. Remember who he was to you, like the image you had of him. And yeah.
How old are you?
15.
I think you're ready to be a parent, because even me, I'm taking down notes. Thank you. Okay, mommy said no, not yet. Okay.